Hey guys, welcome to The Playful Life. I am your host, Crystal, the Playful Trainer, and I'm so happy that you joined me today for this episode. I am very, very happy to have Tori Kruse on the show. She is the creator and owner of Highlights and Heels, and she talks a little bit about that company and how she came up with that name in this episode on the podcast. She is dynamite. She's full of energy. She is a mindset and confidence coach, which, guys, really, confidence is key with anything that you want to achieve in your life. It's all about having the right mindset and the right confidence to get there, to reach those goals and those dreams. So I'm very, very happy to have her here. She talks about one thing in particular that I think you will find very, very helpful. It's her concept of each no in your life being one step closer to your yes. So enjoy this episode. All right, so I have Miss Tori Kruse here with me today, and I'm so excited to have her joining us on The Playful Life. I think, Tori, you really just embody the playful life all the way around, so very happy to have you here. So Tori is an expert in her field with mindset and confidence coaching. She has a coaching company she calls Highlights and Heels, so I'm excited to talk to her more about that. And she's been featured on ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, The Insider, Cosmopolitan Magazine. I don't know what I just said. And yeah, she's a runway model. And what's so super cool about her, especially as I'm going into compete in Mrs. Indiana, is that Tori was Miss Missouri USA 2018. So that is just, wow, what an incredible resume you have, Tori. And I know you have your own podcast as well. So we're going to talk all about that, of course, today. For a lot of my audience here, Tori, is in Northwest Indiana, which, if you don't know, we're right outside Chicago. So you are in a much warmer part of the country, though, right?
Yeah, I am now. I live in Scottsdale, but I am originally from Iowa, and my mom's whole family's from Indiana. So I'm with you, girl. I totally know that region of the world.
That's awesome. Good. All right, cool. Well, so let's just dive right into it then.
Awesome.
This idea of like mindset and confidence coaching, like as a woman, like that's huge because especially preparing for a pageant, I feel like confidence is key to any success, no matter what you're doing. So what was it that inspired you to go sort of into that specialty with the mindset and the confidence coaching?
So I always say every no is one step closer to my yes. That is a mantra that I absolutely live by every single day. I grew up in small town Iowa where everybody knew everybody's name. And I grew up with a brother, and we always loved playing sports. And so I started out playing basketball. I had that competitive nature in me, and I always wanted to win. That was like my number one thing. I just wanted to win. I wanted to be the best. And then by the time I was in high school, playing ball, I ended up, I was like the 3-point shooter on the team. That was like my specialty. I was not good at defense at all. Still to this day would never say that I was ever quick, but I practiced all the time. And so I realized right then that if you want to be great at something, that you have to work your butt off to get there. And so that started out in high school. And then I went on to college. And that is when I was actually, imagine yourself just sitting in a room and you were scrolling through Facebook and you see an ad that says compete at Miss USA. You're a freshman in college. What are the thoughts that are going through your mind? I know what we're going through mine, and it was, there is no way that this girl who played basketball in high school could ever compete at Miss USA. Like, there was no possibility. And then something inside of me took me back to those basketball years, and I was like, wait a second. You never thought that you could be one of the best 3-point shooters on the team, but you did. But how did you do that? You worked your butt off. So I ended up clicking on that ad for Miss USA. And it was like, whoa, I'm going to go compete at Miss Iowa Teen USA, because in order to go to nationals, you're a pageant girl. In order to go to nationals, you have to win the state pageant first. And so I ended up clicking on it. I competed at Miss Iowa Teen USA. And I thought, the competitive nature in me, I thought I was going to win the whole pageant, like my first year. It's totally wrong. I ended up placing semifinalist and walked away thinking to myself, wow, I have a lot of work to do. And it just kind of hit me right then. That's when my mindset really started rolling as, okay, every no is going to be one step closer to your yes. And I thought, this is the time that I need to start investing in myself and to invest in coaches who have already been in my shoes, who have excelled and really, already won a title, and teach me. Because if you want to do something, you always have to have a coach or a teacher to teach you that, right? 100%. And so I started investing in myself, and it was one of the best things I ever did, because then I ended up competing again in Iowa. After college, moved to St. Louis, Missouri, and I started competing in pageants again. I was like, let's give this thing another try. And that is when I really got serious with my why. And I realized right then and there, as a competitive person always wanting to win my whole life at something, it was like, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this, number one, it's in my heart for a reason, but what's the bigger purpose? And through this whole pageant journey already leading up to this point, I'd always loved helping people and putting my time towards organizations. And it was like, okay, so if I won, I bet I could impact a lot more lives, because then I would have a crown and sash. And that's what pageantry is truly all about, is serving and giving back. And that's what I've seen you do, just through your social media. That's what life's all about. And that's what pageantry is all about for sure. Right. So then I ended up pushing and persevering year after year in pageantry. And just like basketball, I had to put in the work. I had to put in the time, and I had to work on my mindset and my confidence, because I realized by the time I ended up persevering and getting second runner up, I really felt that I was like, I'm so close. I can do this. But it was like, that was the time where I realized, I was okay at runway, and I was, I won swimsuit award. So I was getting better at the gym, I guess, and eating healthier. But what I was realizing is I placed second runner up, and then I placed first runner up the next year after that. And I was like, how do I get closer? Like, when you work so hard for something and then you get a taste of it, it's like, okay, how do I go one step further in my training to actually take the whole thing home? And so after getting very, very clear on my bigger purpose and my why of helping people, I also started to invest in the best mindset coaches and confidence coaches, because that was the game changer for me in my pageant career, was taking it from, okay, I've done all the work for current events, interview, runway, all of this stuff. I had the wardrobe going on. Like, I love fashion. So it was like, that's the part that I really looked forward to. But in all seriousness, when I hired the mindset coaches, that was when I went from second runner up, first runner up, and then I finally took the crown home. And that was just, it was when I was there, when I got crowned that year's Miss Missouri USA 2018, I said, thank you, God, because that was my biggest yes. That every single one of those no's, it was like, okay, it's out of the way, it's out of the way. I kept persevering. I'm like, all right, I had faith, and faith is huge. And so that was what it was for me. And when I had faith in the process, I persevered. I hired those mindset coaches. That was when it changed the game for me. And I ended up going on to compete at Miss USA, which, that was an incredible experience. But then again, I didn't get that yes. I didn't get that yes at Miss USA that I ultimately wanted. My goal was to get on that Miss USA stage. I did, but it didn't come without its fair share of challenges. And don't let me fool you either. There were times backstage, actually every single year backstage, all years competing for Miss Missouri, my knees were shaking uncontrollably. Have you ever had that? I'm sure. Yes. What I'm talking about. You're like, the music starts playing, they start announcing everyone. You have your opening number dance, which I'm terrible at dancing. So my family, my brother, always would send me text afterwards and laughing at me. But I was so nervous to get out there every single year. And even though I prepared and I knew I was ready, I was still nervous. And I was still inhaling confidence, exhaling doubt. And that's what I teach my coaching clients now. And through all of my talks is inhale that confidence, exhale doubt. And that was how I released those nerves every single time before I went out on stage. So and then now that's why when I went to Miss USA, I got that big fat no, absolutely not. You're not winning Miss USA. And I thought to myself, God must be protecting me from something, or he has a bigger plan in my future. And that totally led me to my biggest yes yet. And that is creating my business, Highlights and Heels. And I want to now help and give back to girls who, you know, have struggled with mindset and confidence. And I want them to get to that level where they have enough faith and confidence in themselves that they can go pursue their biggest dreams, just like I did at Miss USA.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Oh, what a cool story. And
Thank you.
I mean, people maybe outside of pageantry don't really understand what all goes into it. I mean, they see the finished product, right? They see your rockin' body, then your amazing evening
They don't
gown.
see the chicken and broccly.
Right.
Or the 2 hours at the gym.
Exactly. And all the personal development really that goes into it. And that's why I think like women who do pageants just they end up so successful at the things that they do because they understand that it's not just like a surface level thing. Like, I mean, you rise and rise and rise every time you go to compete. Like there's something new that you learn about yourself. And I mean, I think that just speaks so amazingly high to you that like you didn't give up. Like when you got that first no or that second no, you were like, okay, like something, I gotta go to the next level and go to the next level.
Right.
And I just think you were just like, you were on to like just amazing things, and you're gonna just have an epic story with your coaching.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It lights me up every time I work with girls. It's just it totally, thank you God, I found my passion, you know, and like I found my true purpose. And I'm so passionate now about helping girls find their true purpose, because it's just since I found mine and I persevered through all those no's, it's like it doesn't happen. I sold flooring, you know, like I sold commercial flooring. Like I have not had a dream job by any means my entire life, you know? And so just, you know, knowing that if you feel like everybody else has their life figured out beside you, it's only a belief in your own head, because there are many people that could be in their jobs for years or their career or their dreams, and they're not getting their yes yet. It'll come. Just stay faithful. If you have a dream in your heart, it's there for a reason. So I always say, just keep passing on through those no's and one step closer to your yes.
Oh, Tori, I love this so much. And it's funny, I listen to Lori Harder. I don't know if you know who Lori Harder is.
But, I do, yes.
So it's always so funny because she'll have people on her podcast, and you know, obviously she wants to share those people's message with her audience. And
right.
She's just like, there's this little selfish part of me that like enjoys like the personal development that she gets from interviewing people. And I feel that right now. So I thank you for that.
That's so sweet. Thanks.
Absolutely. So Highlights and Heels, I mean, obviously that comes from like your pageantry experience, but how did you land on that name? Is there any kind of fun?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Have you heard of this story yet? Or are you just like randomly asking me that? Because it is a hilarious story.
Yeah, I'm just kind of randomly asking you.
Well, this is a good one, girl. So I was actually, when I placed first runner up at Miss Missouri, it was one of those things where it was like, I have not, like I said, I was selling flooring. And I love the people who I worked with. It was a great company, but it obviously wasn't my calling in life. And so I was staying in that position though for a while, because I was like, okay, I need to support my dream financially. Oh goodness, this live is going down, people.
Oh, no.
But it was one of those things where I needed to support my dream financially, but it wasn't my passion. And so when I placed first runner up, I was like, okay, I've gotten closer every single year, but what have I not done? And something hit me and I was like, I haven't stepped outside of my comfort zone in a really long time. I've been staying, I stepped outside my comfort zone in different areas with the pageant, but not with my career. I had a security blanket with that. And so I decided right when I placed first runner up that there's Airbnbs for a reason. I ended up quitting my sales position, moving to Los Angeles and Airbnb hopping for about 7 months, because my career goal at that time was actually sports reporting. And I thought I was going to be the next Erin Andrews was my goal. And that has now changed, of course. But when I went out there, I stepped outside my comfort zone. I was like, I'm going to go out to LA and pursue sports reporting. My ultimate dream. So I did that, and I did modeling for a while. And then I networked my tail off when I was out there. And one of my biggest mentors out there, who works for ESPN still, he told me, his name is Richie. He's an awesome guy. He told me to go on LinkedIn and connect with everybody possible, and told me the exact way to network. And then he also told me, start a home studio. And so And so I was like, all right, I have no clue what that means, but sure, I'll go out and buy all this random sports stuff for a home studio. And so that's exactly what I did. And I had to think of this like brand name to come up with that would be really good for sports reporting, but also like have a girly twist to it. And so I thought about that and I was like, whoa, highlights and heels. I'm giving sports highlights. And I was in heels.
Yes.
And it was like, aha, like that's a good, like girly twist sports name to it. And so I called it Highlights and Heels. And that was my like Instagram brand. And that was my like freelance sports reporting. I just totally wung it. Like I did not know what I was doing whatsoever, but I learned. And it was like every single no that I got with, you know, an interview in sports reporting out in Los Angeles, I was like, all right, that's out the door. I'm on to my next yes. And so that mindset of every no is one step closer to my yes, I just have always lived by that. And so I had that name, Highlights and Heels. And then once I was done in LA, I moved back to Missouri. I ended up competing at Miss Missouri, winning that year, going on to compete at Miss USA, creating my business. And when it came time to create my name of my business, I couldn't think of anything. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, Highlights and Heels. Like, why not? Like, that's the best. Like, I just need to roll with that. So I stuck with that, and it came from sports reporting, and then now it's a women's empowerment company. So that's where my name Highlights and Heels came from.
I love that. And that still like has that piece of you that like was interested in the sports reporting and everything. So It's not like you abandoned that completely. You've just sort of taken that part of you and you put it in this, you know, this thing that's your mission and your calling in life now, which is, I think that's just beautiful. That's really
it's kind of cool now just because it has such a backstory, and it totally, the meaning behind Highlights and Heels was totally perseverance, because when I was in LA networking and trying to create this brand and, you know, it was hard. And it just reminds me like nothing worth having in life will come easy. Like your biggest dream, you have to push and persevere. And there's going to be times that you're going to want to cry and crumble and do it for a second if it helps, but then get back up on your feet and know that this is worth fighting for because it's in your heart and it's your ultimate dream.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So we're talking about kind of confidence and, you know, of course that had to do a lot with like your pageantry experience and things, but can you think of like a moment, you know, maybe in your life, like was there a game or a moment in pageantry where you felt like you had like a pivot, right? Where you realized that it was your confidence or maybe lack of confidence that was either holding you back or sort of like that exact key that you needed to succeed to the next thing.
So was there a point in my life where
like a particular situation or experience or memory that you could recall where you were like, you know, it was sort of like an aha moment where you were like, confidence is key here? Or
yeah, it was that time in pageantry when I was I was inching my way forward, and I got from semifinalist to second runner up, and it was like, okay, I'm really, really close to winning the crown, but what is the next step? And I had to like reanalyze what I was doing. And every single year, another important thing is for your listeners is that every single year I had to reanalyze my team and who was helping me get to that next level, because I needed a lot of guidance. Like I said, I played basketball. I had no clue about pageantry. And you were telling me I had to wear 6-inch heels on that stage and try to dance in front of 100 and some people. Like, no way, get out of here. And so I had to have these coaches that actually teach me how to do these things. And technique is so important, but it's that why that's really important. And that's what I coach now is like, it's that deeper why and creating that confidence in your why. So you actually stay consistent and you keep moving and pushing on. So my biggest turning point was when I placed second runner up, and then I would say a mix between like that. And then when I placed first runner up, and I was like, you know what, if I want to get to that next level, I need to prove to God and the universe, like I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to persevere. And then I'm also going to put in the time to work on my confidence and just keep my eyes on the prize and not, you know, compare yourself to others. And you know how it is with pageantry. It's difficult because it's such an individualized sport. I compare everything to sports, but it's such an individualized sport, you know, like basketball, it's a team sport. So, you know, you bring your skills, you bring them all together, and then you have a team. But with pageantry, it's so easy to let yourself slip away and like start looking at other people's wardrobe or start looking at their walk or their answers on stage. And so I always tell a funny story where I actually was in the pageant, Miss Missouri USA. I was in the pageant and I walked the complete on swimsuit walk. I did the complete wrong routine and I still won. I was one out of 52 girls that did literally the wrong routine, but because, then I won. Like, because I did that, though, is because I trained my mind that it was like, you have to own up, you have to have the poise and the confidence, and that's what I coach my ladies through now in my coaching programs, is that, like, I teach them the techniques that I used throughout the years. It didn't start out. It's a process of building up that confidence and realizing, like, hey, when you actually have the confidence, you can do anything. Because I did the wrong routine and I still won. And I'll tell you what, even the year that I won Miss Missouri, I still wasn't the best person out there on stage. Like, I didn't have the best runway walk. Like, I didn't have the best answers on stage. There were other ladies who, you know, won interview, who won evening gown, who won all these other awards besides me, because I wasn't the best one out there. It was just, I was the most prepared mentally for Miss USA.
Yes. Oh, that's huge. I was listening to Lou Sierra, actually on a interview with Alicia Darby, who we were just talking about. She's like an amazing pageant coach, and Lou Sierra works with Miss USA girls. And she was saying that it's like, how is a judge or outside of pageantry, how is anybody supposed to believe that, you know, you're the right person for the job, the crown, the title, if you don't believe it first? You know, if you go in there and you're just like, oh, I don't know why they'd ever pick me, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, then no one's ever going to pick you, you know. Right. And just, wow, like that was so like blew my mind, right?
Yeah, you have to believe in yourself before anybody else believes in you, and you have to talk positive about yourself, and you have to, but also be humble about it too. Humility is so huge. And that was one thing that it really took me many years to balance. Like, okay, how can I always associated confident with arrogance, and that's completely wrong. But I think that's something that a lot of girls go through, is like, wait, if I'm confident, people are going to think I'm arrogant. No, right. There's a balance there, and finding that balance was really huge for me too. But now I found the sweet spot, I think. So we're good. That's awesome. That's what I do. That's what I coach girls on now. So
yeah, and that's amazing that you're sharing that secret with people, because it does. I think it takes people a long time to find that balance. Mm-hmm. And I know you mentioned something. I had this written down that I wanted to ask you about. So in the time that I've kind of been, you know, following you and been on these networking calls with you, you talk a lot about this kind of like practice of gratitude. And you know, how that like really helped you manifest a lot of amazing things in your life. So, you know, it's something I talk a lot about on my podcast and to, you know, my clients. So I would just like to kind of ask you a little bit about that. Where did that come from? When did you start practicing gratitude, and how did that like change your life?
Yeah, so gratitude is so huge for me. It is literally something I practice every single day. And it is a little going back to 2016, actually. I just realized this, and I think I shared it with you in my networking group, but this is something that just blew my mind. Back in 2016, I wrote down that I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was grateful that I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona is exactly what I wrote. And back, I didn't even know in, 2064 years ago, I didn't even know that I had a dream to live in Scottsdale. And now what's my zip code? It's Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's just crazy the things that you can manifest just by saying you're grateful for things that you don't yet have. So that's one way to practice gratitude, is saying that you're grateful for something that you don't have yet, but you desire in your life. But one thing that I really like to do every single day is write down at least 5 or 10 gratitudes, small things that I'm grateful for. Because during those days, we all have days, right, where we wake up and we're a little bit anxious, or we just don't really feel like conquering the day. And so during those times, we just need to sit down for a moment and take 5 minutes and write down things that we are grateful for. It could be as small as, I'm grateful for, fresh water, or I'm grateful for coffee. I'm grateful for my pen to write down my gratitudes, or piece of paper, whatever that small thing is. It just makes you appreciate the smaller things in life that we often take for granted, and that really really sets my day up for success. And I've seen a lot of my clients too have success by implementing that into their life.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I think you mentioned too that you do something called an I am statement.
Yes, I am. I am what I am. I love those statements. So those are similar to like what I was saying with the gratitudes as well. The I am. So whether it's I am grateful for, but I usually put like, I am a Forbes 30 under 30 nominee, or I am a speaker at Rachel Hollis's Rise conference. Things like that that have not happened yet, but the Forbes 30 under 30 is really pushing it because I'm 29. But little things like
change it to 40 under 40. That's what I've done.
I know. Now I'm going for the 30. But yeah, little things like that that haven't happened yet. But it's interesting because when you sit there and you manifest and you write down every single day 10 things as if you already have them. I have down there, I am married to my dream husband, and I am an exceptional wife and mom. Of course, I'm not a wife or a mom yet, but like those are the things that I like to write down, because those are the things that I desire in my life. And so just writing them as if you already have them, it has so much power.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I think it was you that said you would sign your name, Miss Missouri.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I started doing that in my gratitude journal because of you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that, girl. Yes. So I wrote down from Miss Missouri USA 2015 all the way to when I actually won in 2018. Every single day. I bet I wrote it down like 100 times. When I look back, I was like, wow, I was really ambitious. But I would autograph Miss Missouri USA 2015 is the year I started. I didn't win till 2018. And then I would autograph my name. And I just got used to that. So then the day, I'll never forget, the day I was signing contracts when I won Miss Missouri USA. And I was sitting there and I wrote it down and I was like, heck yes. Like that was such a big, like I said, every no is one step closer to your yes. Like all those years, and I kept persevering and it finally paid off, and I finally got that yes. And it was just like, thank you. Like I was so grateful for it because I'd practiced it for so long. And yeah, that it has power. And it's like when you actually achieve that dream, and it happens, and when you're doing it, you've already been there. I did that with, being crowned as well. Visualization is huge. And just sitting there and, 5 minutes a day and visualizing being crowned and putting the sash across your body, doing that every single day, I would literally cry because I'd be so happy because I would feel the feelings and I would hear them announce my name, and like I would feel it so deep. And so visualization is another thing that has a lot of power, and I highly recommend for all of your listeners to implement.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. So yes, so we're kind of segueing into this like next thing I would love to talk about with you. So people might be going like, oh, I don't know. I've tried visualization. I keep falling off the wagon with my gratitude, right? Like they probably or most definitely can benefit from having a coach, right? Somebody who's experienced success and, knows how to manifest these things. And like, I love the idea of having coaches. And so I'm so excited that you have a coaching program that's available and accessible to people. So, I would just love for you to kind of give us a highlight of that and what that's all about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for that. I appreciate your kind words there. But I do have a coaching program for group coaching. And then I also have my one-on-one coaching. And so we actually just kicked off my group coaching last night, and it's a 7-week program. So is my one-on-one 7-week program. And with the group coaching, it's really awesome because there's a group of like-minded women that are a part of the group from, high school to even like 30, like mid to upper 30s. There's all ranges, but the techniques that I teach my coaching clients are the exact mindset and confidence techniques that I learned through the past 10 years of my life, and 22 coaches that I invested in. And so I've combined, plus the personal development conferences that I've went to and taken little bits and pieces from, and I've combined everything that has worked in my life. And there's also been things that haven't worked, but I'm bringing to my clients everything that actually has. So I pull those bits and pieces out and I created my program. And it's really exciting. It's super fun to have like-minded women there who are all wanting to better themselves. And I love working with women who take away bits and pieces and they implement them into their lives. And I've seen such incredible results. I mean, one of the coolest things is one of my clients actually, she had this desire to be have an internship at this boutique in Nashville. And so I was like, all right, we're going to manifest it. We're going to like visualize it. We're going to do all the techniques so you can actually achieve this dream. She not only landed her job in Nashville, Tennessee. So she moved from Missouri. She went to Tennessee, to Nashville. And then also her best friend moved with her. So she manifested this like whole dream ideal situation after going through my coaching program. And it was just seeing those results and seeing people achieve their dreams and live a life of purpose. There's nothing more fulfilling in life. So I do have that one-on-one coaching and then also group coaching where it has that group atmosphere. And then all of my coaching, I give actionable takeaways. Like throughout my entire life, I always like to have little, I call them missions for the week, because who likes the word homework? Not me. But so I'd say missions for the week. And there's like always little things every single week that I tell my clients to work on. If they have questions, reach out to me. I'm accessible all the time to them through email. But it's like taking those steps, implementing them into your life. And by the end of the program, I create a personalized breakthrough blueprint for the girls, because if you go through a program, if you go through anything with a mentor, whether it's me or with somebody else, if you don't continually implement that into your life, then it was just a waste, right? Yeah. And so going back to pageantry, if I took everything that I was learning in pageantry and I was like, okay, that was when I created my bigger why back when I was still competing for Miss Missouri, because those techniques that
I hope you enjoyed that time I spent with Tori as much as I did. Again, she is just so wonderful, full of just a great energy. And it's always wonderful to have a conversation with somebody who lifts you up and helps you feel like you can go out and conquer the world. Be sure to like, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell to get notifications when new videos pop up. Also, be sure to check the comments and the show notes down below, and you can find out how to get in touch with Tori to work with her and follow all the amazing things that she does. Have an awesome day and stay playful.